Hi, this is TapCat, and welcome to the epilogue of my latest XCOM 2 War of the Chosen campaign. So we're going to do three things in this video. The first is I'm going to very quickly review the game summary screens that it shows you after the final cutscene. Then we're going to replay the final two turns of the last mission because we lost a soldier, and just as I did in mission 1, and we hadn't lost anybody all the way since then, but I'm going to just replay that and see if, without going to ridiculous lengths or anything, could we have approached things a little bit differently, kept her alive, and still killed the Avatar. And my goal was I didn't want it to take any longer. So, we'll get to that in a minute. And then lastly, just a brief discussion of the campaign in general. So let us start with the game summary. And I said I'm going to keep this brief, and I am, partly because it didn't take me long looking at this to realize that a lot of these numbers are just not accurate. So it says we've won 70 missions. I'm pretty sure we didn't play 70 missions unless maybe it's counting ambushes. I don't know. But missions lost 4. I think that's probably pretty close. I know we had a couple of retaliations go bad. We had a couple of protected device missions go bad. Flawless missions is 29. And I will just say I checked this compared to my last War of the Chosen campaign. I'm pretty sure this is not only better than that one, it's probably the most I've ever had. So for soldiers lost, it says 4, but we know that's not true. It's really 2. And again, what was interesting is when I watched the video for last campaign where I reviewed this, the first thing I said is that the count for the lost soldiers was incorrect. So it does appear this is kind of a consistent bug that they have. Let's go to the second screen. I'm actually just going to let most of this speak for itself, and you can kind of take from it what you will. Again, I think the inaccuracy really comes through here when you look at something like global ability points earned and you see a negative number. You know, how much can you really trust any of this? I don't know. But I at least wanted people to get a chance to see it. Total days wounded, 417. That was actually better than I did last time. And it felt like I constantly had people wounded. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Number of scientists a bit higher. Number of engineers a bit higher. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead, as I say, I'm just going to let it speak for itself. Let's get to the more interesting part in my eyes, which is replaying these last two turns. So Tex died, which definitely made me sad at the time. And listen, on the final mission, you can argue it doesn't really matter if you lose a soldier. There is no tomorrow, quite literally. And if you lose all but the commander avatar and you finish the mission, then you win. But for the sake of pride and the sake of sentimentality that I have nurtured these soldiers, in the case of Tex, since the very beginning, Tex, Riggs, and Chemical were the 3 survivors of that first mission. So losing her, that was a bit of a blow. So what did we do differently? Well, I knew that I was taking an aggressive posture by leaving her forward, right? When she was up there, she was pretty close to a gatekeeper. And so I thought, well, that could go badly, right? But I really wanted to have guys in different areas of the map so that once we hit the avatar once, and he starts teleporting around, I have people positioned to be able to take high percentage shots and not have everybody kind of bunched up in one area. And then if he teleports far away, you're screwed. And if he had bounced near her and she keeps that chain going. Listen, if we kill him on that next turn, it doesn't matter if you could survive the turn after because the game's just over. So anyway, the problem, of course, is that she was fired upon by multiple enemies and everybody hit. Every single time any enemy shot, they hit in this final room, which was kind of strange, but whatever. So I thought, okay, let's do this. Let's pull her back. I think that's, a reasonable thing to do. And then the other thing I also thought I would try different is I had my commander avatar mind control the Archon that was near the gatekeeper. And my thought was, one, we can use him as a mimic beacon of sorts. And two, it also kind of replaced Tex as far as someone who might be able to get damage in on that following turn. So, he was up there even a little farther forward than she was. So if the avatar shows up somewhere over there, who knows? Maybe he'll get in a hit. I mean, their aim sucks. So, you have to worry about that. But it gave me some more options. And I also thought, hey, maybe this will help keep some of my guys safe. So that was the plan. And the thing is, it worked. Now, what I did find interesting is that when we pulled her back, they fired, I believe it was at Riggs, and they hit him too. Again, if an enemy was firing in that final room, they were hitting. And I don't even think that's broken RNG in the way we usually mean it. It felt like something else was going on to me, like some sort of weird glitch where it wasn't even checking for RNG results for them. And maybe I'm overreacting to it, but it was really strange that they were consistently hitting us even when we were behind full cover. So I don't know. I don't really want to harp on it because, again, as is so often the case, nobody died because we were getting hit a lot. Or they didn't have to die. Let me put it that way. So once we pulled Tex back and the following turn, she was no longer disoriented and everything. From that point on, I followed just a very typical pattern of attack for me. Now, again, you can afford to be a little more aggressive maybe than you normally would be, because as long as you go all in on killing the third avatar, and it has to be the third one, as long as you go all in on killing him this turn, that'll just be it. You don't have to worry about hanging someone out to dry, right? Like, oh my God, I left Riggs surrounded by 10 Mutons, he's dead. Well, no, he's not, because as long as the others do their jobs, then those guys will never get a chance to fire at Riggs, right? So we just played it out as normal. And really it was only at towards the end of that one turn where I was doing anything different. And I just took a little bit more of a defensive posture. I didn't, go out of my way to cast aid protocol on her or have her hunker down or something like that, because I wouldn't normally do that. And my goal wasn't to see like, hey, if I take every ridiculous precaution I can, hey, Ray, can I keep her alive? The idea was if I'd have just played it a little smarter, would it have worked out? And it would have. So I'll say what I've said before, and then I'll stop belaboring it. RNG has not killed a single soldier in this campaign. It's my own play. I've only lost 2. I have shown definitively that I could have kept them both alive if I'd just approached it a little bit different, a little bit smarter. So, okay, I think that's enough on Tex. So let's go ahead and talk a bit about the campaign. So my original goal when I set out to record this, and this may sound very grandiose, but it was just in my own mind, I really kind of wanted to do, sorry about the tail there. I wanted to try to record as close to a definitive XCOM 2 campaign for me that I could. And by that, what I mean is I really wanted to try to play my best game. When I played War of the Chosen the first time, I was playing it blind for the most part, as far as I remember. And so, of course, there was a lot of learning and there was a lot of trying different things and not really knowing what would work best and what, needed to be a certain way. So there's no question that I could have played better than I did in that campaign, and I wanted to try to tighten that up. So in the early part of this campaign, I felt pretty good about it. I mean, despite the fact that we started off the first mission with a death that I proved was avoidable and, unnecessary, I got a lot of flawless missions in the first part of the campaign. And in general, I felt like I did a good job of positioning my troops so that we weren't taking unnecessary damage and we were efficiently taking out the enemy. So I felt really good about that. I will say though, as the campaign progressed, I think I fell into something that it's very easy to do. I should have looked this up before I started recording. In Darkest Dungeon, one of the little things that the narrator will say to you is something, I'm going to have to paraphrase, that overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer or something like that. I'm sure I'm butchering it, but you get the idea. And this is so true in XCOM as well as Darkest Dungeon. It's not even that I was overconfident per se, but it's just you start to get a little comfortable because, you've got a full squad of 6 now, and you've gotten some promotions under your belt. You got some, good abilities going. You have even just tier 2 weapons and armor makes a big difference, let alone when you get to tier 3. And so I start believing that if something goes wrong, I can deal with it. We'll be okay. I'll take care of business. And we did, but that's not how you get flawless missions. And that's not how you play optimally, right? So if your goal is to have a clean run, as clean as you can possibly get, you have to constantly fight that tendency that you can easily fall into to just get a little bit complacent. And I don't think I always did that as well as I could have. So in that aspect, I'm proud of some missions or some aspects of how I played. And then there's others where I feel like, listen, I definitely could have played better. And then of course, on top of that, there's just the little stuff where, I forgot to do this or that. I was way too slow to pick up on the fact that I had to upgrade the shadow chamber, for example. And so for a number of missions, I left that sitting. So we could have realistically finished the campaign quicker. On that note, I will also say this was my first time trying the idea of purposely keeping the Chosen alive so that I could just hunt them. And I don't regret doing that, but I probably would have started to take them out a little earlier. One reason for doing that, by the way, is that the hunter's rifle and then the assassin's katana in particular, I feel like they really elevate your your ranger and sharpshooter. I mean, the hunter's weapon, in my opinion, is the single best weapon in the game. And then if you have Bladestorm, the katana is amazing because you don't miss anymore. And I pointed this out, I talked about it during the campaign, that Bladestorm is a wonderful ability, but you can't rely on it the way you want to because you'll miss, like that is just one of the realities you have to accept. But the katana stops that, right? So with the katana now, you can count on it, and that's kind of a game changer. So Listen, I could have probably made some of those missions in the mid to late game a little easier on myself if I had the katana, if I had the dark claw, and so on. So at any rate, I don't want to beat this to death. I think I've probably gone on more than long enough talking about the campaign. So let me just wrap it up by saying thank you very much for watching over the course of it, especially the people who stay with me all the way through and don't just cut to the end. Also, if you left a comment at any point along the way, let alone multiple comments, many, oh my God, so many great comments on this series. I think this is probably, of any series I've ever recorded, the most engaged in a really nice way that I've ever had an audience. So I am really grateful for that. And of course, Ray is as well. And I know that you're here for him, but I'm lucky enough to be his helper. And we both appreciate you. So I think I will leave it there. That's all for now. Thanks for watching. I hope we see you next time.